Some other uses again for this, again using the same data GIS for different outputs, and you could use it for wildland pre-plans, which is something that Dave Blankenship knows a lot about. Water rescue. In my jurisdiction, we have about 20 miles of lakefront that we actually map hazards underwater, hazard assessment, tactics, tactical assessments like SWOT, post-incident analysis. So you use that same thing I showed in Google Earth for a PIA. So you can actually build a model of the fire, show where the fire was, and show where engines were located at, and you could actually talk about what happened at the fire and zoom around that fire and talk about it. So that's a real neat tool versus drawing it on a chalkboard. And then tabletop training. One of the things that I've done in the past is I'll plot out in paper our pre-plans to the scale of like Hot Wheels cars. And so we could do a tabletop just with Hot Wheels cars and a pre-plan. We could actually drive up on the paper and position our apparatus in a tabletop exercise versus having like railroad models or something like that. So here's the workflow that I've developed for maintaining our pre-plans. Is we've created like 3 categories of pre-plans. We have like a quick action plan, which is a one-paper version of our pre-plans, and that covers 85% of our pre-plans. Because most pre-plans, we have in Kirkland about 500 pre-plans. Most buildings, we know how a fire is going to work in there. We know how an emergency is going to work in a certain building. We just need to know where things are located. So a one-page pre-plan, if you will, or one, map pre-plan is enough for us. And that's nice because it doesn't overburden us with drawing floor plans and stuff. A level 2 pre-plan is a pre-plan that we want to have more information on. Like, for example, schools and hospitals and buildings that have hazards in them that stay pretty static, and that building is going to stay the same for a long time. We'll actually take the time to capture data, like floor plan data, or actually do some floor plan work in GIS to create that information. And the level 3 pre-plans are unified command, and that's basically school shooter pre-plans for us. And we always have like some exceptions, and we have different other maps available, but those are the basic 3 categories, and that just helps us identify the amount of work we put into each pre-plan. So it basically reduces or helps identify the amount of work we do. So some other tips: you could use CAD drawings that you get from architects and georeference them into the map, or if you're lucky enough, and occasionally I do get these files, you can, if the architect is savvy enough in geographic space, he'll actually georeference it for you. And so that's something that you could do in ArcGIS, or you could do the same thing with raster images. If, for example, when we do a pre-plan on a building, sometimes the best resource is actually the fire evacuation floor plan that somebody developed. I'll just get a copy of that off the wall, georeference that, and use that as a tool to trace some features and digitize inside the building. And then another tip is to add the aerial photo to the background of your pre-plan, because we found that law enforcement is really a big fan of using having that imagery on there so they can identify cover concealment and places where bad guys can go. And then here's the future. And the reason why I'm kind of passionate about this is that we're going to have technology to locate us inside a building. And about 10 years ago, when I first gave a similar presentation of this, I thought, this is the reason why I want to use GIS for my building prints and plans, is that there's going to be stuff out there where, it could be integrated in my SCBA, where I can, that there's a locating device that sends out a signal to some map, and it shows where I'm at. And if I run out of air, that symbol on that map changes to something more urgent. And so 10 years later, now you're seeing articles in the paper and the internet about, locating things, locating firefighters, or locating victims inside a building. So I definitely feel this, this is, if in the end, if this technology saves a brother's or sister firefighter's life, I'll be really, really happy. This is my goal, is to save somebody in the fire service, from getting hurt. so on this. So I'm pretty passionate about that. So anyway, some resources, and there are. I just want to highlight basically 3 websites. There's the NAPSG website, and I want to definitely highlight the news section, because that's where we seem to be putting a lot of our information about previous webinars. There is and this is one thing I need to get the hang of a bit better, but there's the ArcGIS.com Resource Center, which is a place where you can download map templates, including some really nice public safety templates and some base maps. And then there's, I'll go over that here in a sec. There's also the ArcGIS.com map, and if you have a login and you search for NAPSG pre-planned webinar maps, or you search for some of these tags here, send me an invite, and I'll include you as a member of this group, and you can download the pre-planned map and the mobile map that I showed in ArcGIS Mobile. And then finally, and we are still in development of a capability, a carrot, and it's basically a tool for fire service professionals to figure out what do they need in GIS, and it's still in the beta version process, but it's growing, and we're looking forward to using this. So, and then I want to thank everybody for listening. It's actually an honor and pleasure to present this. And if you want to talk to me in person, I'll be at a couple places. I'll be at the Esri User Conference, and I'll be probably loitering somewhere in the public safety area. And actually, I'd appreciate if somebody came talk to me and stuff, because sometimes I just kind of sit there and people watch. And then also, I'll be at the Technologies for Critical Incident Preparedness in Washington, D.C., August 30th to the 1st. So there's my email. There's a couple of websites, and usually I'd open up for questions, but we'll have to work on the question thing later.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And in the sense of keeping that going, if anyone does have a question, what we would ask you to do is send an email with your question to questions, plural, at publicsafetygis.org. So all one word, publicsafetygis.org. And then what we can do is compile those questions and then turn them into a frequently asked questions section. We'll post that on the website. We have found that is a better way to get most of the questions answered, because when we do these webinars, we often get a whole bunch of questions, and we can spend another hour going through those. So again, Chris, thank you very much. This was terrific. In addition to the 2001 Esri User Conference, you'll also be at the Esri Homeland Security Summit, I think.
Yep.
So folks are attending that. NAPSG and Chris as well will be at that session. And as Chris noted, some of the tools that he described today are available for folks on our website, which is napsgfoundation.org. That carrot tool, the Capabilities and Readiness Assessment tool, is something we're really hoping to really get out of that beta stage and get some funding to make it more of a robust tool so folks in the field can utilize it really to kind of help either initiate their GIS or expand a more basic level GIS. So keep tuned for that, and we'll let you know if it comes into a more of a mature format. But again, thanks to Chris. We also want to make sure we're express our thanks to Esri for co-hosting this webinar. These aren't terribly expensive undertakings, but without support from groups like Esri, we wouldn't be able to do that. So thank you very much to them. And again, on behalf of NAPSG Foundation and our regional leadership team and our board of directors and everybody else, we really appreciate your time for logging in and paying attention to this. And please send us ideas with other topics that you think would be useful for us to cover. We really look forward to touching on the issues that you all find important. And it's just an exciting time for all of us. So thanks again. Send those questions, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye-bye.